Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. This evening, I have a couple updates for you guys that are very interesting because Greenland's prime minister says that the U.S. would not get their island. They're an autonomous territory of Denmark, but the prime minister stated that the U.S. would not get their island. And as we all know, Trump commented and stated that military force is not ruled out, meaning there's a possibility that we can go to war with Greenland out of all country. Now, don't forget they're an autonomous state of Denmark, so Denmark is responsible for them when it comes to their defense, even though they haven't done much with the island when it comes to defense. But nonetheless, that's what they're there for. So we will be essentially going to war with Denmark. Let's craft a strategy that doesn't involve storming the castles. But instead, let's use the suave moves of diplomacy, as they always state, and cooperation to engage Greenland and potentially gain a strategic foothold and access to its resources. Let's go about this like diplomats. Let's go about this like politicians. All of a sudden, we want to take over Greenland and rape us of its resources and occupy its land. Let's first have a strategic partnership. The U.S. can deepen its existing defense and scientific collaboration with Greenland and Denmark. And this could be expanded to include shared investments in infrastructure like airports and ports and security gates, which are crucial for both defense and civilian purposes. Greenland is rich in renewable energy resources, is it not? Mostly in hydropower and potentially wind energy. And the U.S., we could propose joint ventures in developing these resources. Such green investments are attractive, especially when they're not taking up any land in the U.S. But this also will have us to align with global trends towards sustainability and offer long-term economic benefits to Greenland's economy as well as America. We know that we're in this four-way trade against EU nations, China, Canada, and Mexico. But nonetheless, we can do trade agreements with Greenland. I'm just not understanding the ideology behind some of the things that have been going on. Because again, as I stated many times before, and I'll keep reminding my subscribers and people who are viewing that I'm not part of any of these conservative or liberal or independent parties, because again, both political parties lie just as much as the other. And the things that people voted Donald Trump into office, he's doing, but there's a couple of extra things he's doing as well that a lot of people who voted for him are not agreeing with it, but they're staying silent. They're staying silent. Because this thing about this, we could negotiate a trade agreement specifically tailored to include Greenland's resources like fish, minerals, rare earth elements. These agreements could include favorable terms for the Greenlandic goods that's entering the U.S., as well as our goods entering Greenland, which will enhance all of our economic benefits. I don't know. I just don't understand the ploy of poking the bear, so to speak. When I mean poking the bear, not because I believe Greenland has a chance in hell of military conquering America, even with Denmark's help. No, poking the bear of war. That doesn't mean they won't go to war and fight for everything that they hold true. What about if we, offer scholarships and exchange programs and facilitating cultural events and sponsor American experts to work in Greenland institution? What if we help build their infrastructure from an educational and cultural exchange? The U.S. can build goodwill and mutual understanding, which is often the bedrock of what America have done around the world. Now, you cut U.S. aid, which I agree with. And you see a lot of people around the world have made videos basically stating that all of the countries, okay, majority of the countries that was on a U.S. aid list wasn't receiving those resources and benefits. They would just receive a bag of rice every now and again. But we're talking about trillions of dollars that have been deposited into different accounts around the world where the people are not benefiting from it. Also, the U.S. can collaborate with Greenland on climate resilience projects, helping to mitigate the effects of climate change in the Arctic region. This could include funding for scientific research and sharing of technology for environmental, protection and monitoring. There's a lot of things we can do other than saying military forces now ruled out. We want your country. We want you guys to be a territory of America and or the 51st state, and you could probably be 52nd after Canada. We can even do grants for economic development that will include their local infrastructure for a couple of trade posts. Hey, we want to build a couple of military bases. We want to build maybe a submarine base so we can have defense against Russia, North Korea, etc. Again, the ideology of this is beyond me. And get into the ideology, Donald Trump. I've been hitting on this for the past couple of days because President Trump, he continues to reignite controversy about suggesting he might pursue a third term in office, despite the 22nd Amendment's clear prohibition against serving more than 2 terms. But in recent interviews, Trump stated there are methods to extend his presidency, though he did not elaborate on what these methods might be. A bunch of legal scholars and people who read the Constitution, so to speak, as well as political analysts, have expressed concerns over his remarks because emphasizing that any attempt to circumvent the Constitution would face significant legal and political challenges. What are they talking about? And they argue that such statements undermine democratic norms and could lead to a constitutional crisis. It can, and if it continue, it will. Where are all the people who stand behind the Constitution? And those people come from their left, right, and middle. But when it comes to the Constitution, I'm leaning more to the conservatives for them to really uphold the Constitution. Where are the staunch conservatives to come out and say, I do not agree, I do not approve, this is anti-constitutional? Here's Trump's cabinet. A lot of people on the left was stating how there's no diversity in Trump's cabinet and that, Trump essentially is running a white male ran or white person ran government and there's really no diversity. Now, if we think about the percentage of white people versus non-white people in his cabinet, okay, and I might miss a few, but I would like to believe that Lori Chavez is a white Hispanic. I believe Tulsi Gabbard is Indian, I believe, or at least mixed with Indian. Let's see here. I think Christine Nome maybe have Asian in her family. Brooke L. Rollins, I believe, is from Asian descent. Marco Rubio is a white Hispanic. Scott Turner is apparently Black American. Russell Vought. Okay, all these other people seem to be, Caucasians nonetheless. I might got some wrong, but the one thing that stood out to me out of this entire cabinet, as I named off a couple of people who were either mixed or non-white or some other ethnicity within the white race nonetheless, or Hispanic, which is essentially an ethnic in America, the way we classify it. Wasn't the last HUD director Black too? Wasn't that Ben Carson? So the only thing that Black people can be good at is the housing, urban development. They appointed 2 Black men back to back because HUD, housing, urban development. Like Trump was probably like, well, they said urban, so it got to be a Black guy. I'm just breaking up the monotony. I know I was on a tear at first, but I'm just breaking up the monotony. But that's his cabinet, no less. That's his cabinet. Now, a lot of things are shaping up in France because France has positioned itself as the anti-Trump by firmly rejecting the far-right politics associated with Marine Le Pen. And behind these developments, it's seen as a very bold path that other nations grappling with the rise of populism might consider following. They're basically saying that Donald Trump is leading the world in the rhetoric and his ideologies of how he's pushing America forward. Now, anytime I say ideology or rhetoric, doesn't mean that it's negative. It just means that it is his own. There's a lot of people who may share that same ideology, but this is his rhetoric and his ideology alone. Now, a lot of French leaders and citizens alike have demonstrated a commitment to upholding democratic values and inclusivity. And they're setting a precedent that challenges the global trend of nationalist movements. But a lot of people are watching and suggest that France's approach could serve as a model for countering divisive politics elsewhere. Who are they talking about? They're talking about the United States of America. Now, unfortunately, in a training exercise in Lithuania, 3 of our 4 soldiers have been found dead after their armored vehicle sank into a peat bog. And the incident occurred, this is with Lithuania. Parabraid is the name of the town or the city. And it's in a training area close to the Belarusian border. And rescue operations have been challenging due to the swampy terrain and efforts to continue to locate the 4 soldiers. Already, they found 3 dead bodies. They found 3 of our American soldiers. So please, for those families who are waiting to hear, especially with the 4th service person, please send out your heart and prayers to those families. But the U.S. Army, along with Lithuanian authorities, they are currently investigating the circumstances surrounding, the devastating event. And to give you more insight on this, I'm going to quickly just play this clip because they're going to give you just a little bit more information.
3 of the 4 soldiers have been found dead at the site. Their identities are being withheld pending notification of next of kin. This is according to the U.S. Army. They had gone missing last Tuesday in the early hours of March 25th in their M88 Hercules armored recovery vehicle while conducting a mission to repair and tow a tactical vehicle. A day later, their own vehicle was found submerged in a swamp 5 meters below water in the training area. That vehicle, by the way, is used for battlefield rescue and recovery missions. Now, again, according to this statement from the U.S. Army, it was a 6-day-long effort that required tremendous resources. Hundreds of service members from the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, the Lithuanian and Polish armed forces as well. The statement goes on to say, and I quote, "They maneuvered through thick layers of mud, clay, and sediment with zero visibility to reach the vehicle." It's certainly not unusual for the U.S. military.
So again, unfortunately, 3 of our soldiers have passed away. And this wasn't a training accident. This was a rescue mission of another vehicle recovery. And even in regular operations in the military, they're very dangerous. There's been many of Marine soldiers, airmen, navalmen, coastmen who have not only been, killed during training exercises, but in regular operations when we're just actually within training. Okay, regular operations occurred within training, and unfortunately, our service member died that as well. And as they stated, they were in the pitch black, so I'm pretty sure they was either using night vision goggles or they were using some sort of digital visioning enhancement. We have these systems, and of course, they're always been updated. So the names change, the brands change, but the technology is basically the same. But we have these screens that flip down from the top of our Humvees, MRAPs, LMTVs, whatever vehicle that you have, it can flip down, and they show you kind of the schematics of the road. This depends on if you're using a Tiger system or you're using some other DVE system. But nonetheless, it can map out the road in black and white because it's contrasting heat versus cold. So you can see animals, you can see people, you can see, how you would in a holographic sort of site, but you can see that in your DVE as well. But those images are not red or anything like that. Is this, if someone is hot or you see a body figure, that person looks kind of, white pasty, and then everything else is black, but you can kind of make out the rows and things. Or they can be using different series of night vision goggles, and a lot of them, their visibility is not as good, especially if you just have the 2 night vision goggles. If you guys ever seen Special Forces, Marine Force Recon, special units from the Air Force, you see those 5 little ones, that gives you a better field of vision. Those are a lot better than the 2 or the 3 that you see here. Your peripherals are actually blocking those. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of information about what potentially could have occurred, because again, they say that it was pitch black, and I don't know if they were using their lights. I don't know if they were, a lot of times we may do a regular operation and we also use it as a training opportunity. So they probably say, hey, go and recover that vehicle and, do nighttime operations, meaning you turn on your blue light, and they call it a black light, but it's actually blue. You can't really see it from far distances. That's why, your red lights don't show up, your white lights, because those lights can be seen from very far, where blue lights tend to blend in with the natural surroundings. I'm giving you guys probably too much information, what I learned over my 20 years in the military. But nonetheless, I'll move on. I won't go too deep. Now, this is what I just covered, just so you guys, there's a full operation out there. They're still looking for the last soldier. Hopefully he's alive. Now, the United States has intensified its efforts to combat gang-related activities by deporting a number of alleged gang members back to El Salvador. That's a good thing, especially if they're verifiable gang members. But nonetheless, this move aligns with the administration's broader strategy to address domestic crime by targeting individuals with suspected affiliations to criminal organizations. And the deportations have sparked a lot of talks and discussions about the effectiveness and humanitarian implications of such policies, and as well as the impact on international relations and the stability of Central American countries. This is not going to stop. This is one of the major political points that Donald Trump actually ran on, that it didn't matter if you was black, white, blue, green, brown, purple. If you was American, majority of Americans wanted the illegal immigration to stop. Not only when illegal immigrants was coming to all these different sanctuary cities, even to non-sanctuary cities, and because of their conditions, and I don't want people to mix my words up, I'm not calling the people from these countries dirty, but because of the standard of living when they came here and the conditions they were living in, they were trying to just find anywhere to live, tent cities. They were causing massive amount of trash in certain cities. Not only that, the crime rate in America increased. Now, either be 1 or 2%, you're illegally in the country and the crime rates has raised, you are a part of that. But again, this is where the conservatives and Democrats essentially divide, because if you're telling me that people have entered our country illegally, and we have evidence, we've actually locked up hundreds of them, of the crimes they have been committing, and then you tell me your counter argument, your countersuit is that illegal immigrants are not committing more crime than American citizens. Let me say it again so it hits home. Illegal immigrants are not committing more crimes than American citizens. Okay, well, go to their countries illegally and commit a crime. You think they're going to just put you in jail and then release you a couple of hours later like the American government and those state levels have been doing? Absolutely not. You just crossing a border in their jurisdiction is a federal offense. So why isn't it America? Even though it is, because you're entering a country illegally. So again, if these, not just gang members, right? We're talking about, and they're being deported to El Salvador, to that prison called C-Note, maximum security prison. But for people who enter the country illegally and quote unquote jump the line, then they should be deported as well. I'm not talking about El Salvador. That's a prison. But I don't think we should forget that as well. I don't think we should forget that at all. Now, a recent study has revealed a surprising correlation between increased screen time and declining birth rates across various cultures. And a lot of researchers, they are suggesting that the persuasive use of digital devices may be contributing to lower fertility rates, potentially due to factors such as reduced interpersonal interactions and lifestyle changes associated with prolonged screen exposure. That's true. This one thing right here, this article is 1,000% true. Now, it's been a while since I've been to a club, but even then, when I was going to clubs, majority of the people were on their phone or taking pictures in the club. No one was mingling. No one was interacting like nowadays. A lot of my buddies who are still single, they say, man, you walk up to a woman on the street or the bar, there's this barrier, like they're afraid or they're scared or they don't want to talk, but online, they're getting hits all day. It's like we put this digital barricade and no one can now interact before you meet online. Like, this is a safety net. But again, people can lie and cheat and steal online all day. I think people are no longer mature. Like, screen time has decreased our maturity. Like, we're living our dreams, hopes, and views through TikTok. Now, granted, I enjoy TikTok, I enjoy YouTube. But if this is stopping people for, really mingling, getting together, having natural occurrences, having natural conversations, and having babies, and this is not just an American problem, right? This is not just an American problem. France is also having declining birth rates. The majority of the Western world is having declining birth rates, and they're really trying to find out the reason why. They said, well, she's making a TikTok at 1 a.m. She could probably be making love with her significant other. That's why we don't have babies no more. Babies are becoming a rare commodity. They're becoming a rare commodity. But let's touch on Elon Musk, the tech entrepreneur himself. But Elon has an extensive 100-minute town hall addressing certain topics ranging from cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, to broader issues concerning America's future. And Musk candidly discussed the challenges and opportunities facing the nation, including technological innovation, economic policies, and the role of digital currency. And a lot of his remarks have garnered attention for their insight into the intersection of technology and societal development. Now, as well as for highlighting the growing influence of cryptocurrency, which I invest in myself. This is now in mainstream discourse. And he's been coming out, the richest man in the world, stating that being, the director or the CEO or whatever he appointed over DOGE, that this has cost him a lot. You can always quit, Elon. See, this is the thing about not taking side. I admire a lot of things that Elon Musk has done. But let's just be very neutral with everybody here on Black Logic. That's what I'm just going to go right at it. You can step down, Elon, if it's too much. If too many Teslas are getting destroyed, if your rockets are reverberating from space and they can't be caught, if you've been flying spaceships since 2000 and you probably need more research and development, just step down. Do I want him to step down? I don't care if he steps down. But don't complain on X about you have lost a lot. Yeah. with great responsibility comes great sacrifice. So you wanted to take on this responsibility, which is a good thing. A lot of American people will absolutely thank Elon Musk for continue to eradicate the fraud, waste, and abuse from the American government. Now, who would have known, as they're stating, liberals and Democrats are coming out and destroying Teslas and picking fights? But again, with great responsibility comes great sacrifice. So either the money at this point, because you're still the richest man in the world, you probably have billions on billions on billions, no matter how Tesla does, you still have your personal account, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be fine. Either you're going to worry about the billions of dollars that you're going to lose and continue to help the American government, or you just step down and get someone else in place and go back and do the great things you were doing. But just don't cry about it. You can't be the richest man in the world and cry about it. I'm not saying he's not a victim, okay? I'm not victim shaming, okay? But again, you have a whole board of directors. You're the majority owner. This is billions of dollars that you can just walk away from. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real.
The reason for the checks is that it's really just to get attention. It's like we need to get attention, and it's somewhat inevitably when I do these things, the sort of it causes the legacy media to like kind of lose their minds, and then they'll run it on every news channel. And I'm like, I couldn't pay them it would cost like 10 times more, or, to get the kind of coverage that we get. The reason.
And this was a genius. He knows that legacy media, mass media is going to follow every single thing that he does. So of course, giving people millions of dollars, okay, not only millions of dollars, but hundreds of dollars as well. Let me show you this. Hundreds of dollars as well. He's actually giving out money as well. I thought I had that up. But he was basically giving people who were spreading the word about voting in Wisconsin $20 up to $1,000 or something like that. So again, as I stated in my earlier broadcast, this is another method and strategy of paying people to vote. Okay. Now as far as when I did my research, I didn't find that he was enticing people to vote for the Conservative Party, because there's a male and female politicians who are voting. I think it's for governor or the district attorney, something like that. I totally forgot. I had a brain fart. My apologies. But nonetheless, he's paying people. And this is really smart by him, because first and foremost, mass media, ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, all these legacy media, give me a second. All of these legacy media companies are going to blow this out of proportion. He's going to get the publicity that he wants, and he's going to get it for free. Now, on the other hand, as I stated in my earlier broadcast, that this is just similar to me what Kamala Harris was doing. She paid Roland Martin Unfiltered. She paid Al Sharpton, and she paid some other black news apparatuses to, again, encourage, manipulate, trick, inform, however you want to put it, for black folk to vote for her. And they were favorable interviews. They didn't really ask Kamala Harris any tough questions. So again, that's a sense of propaganda, in my opinion. And of course, a lot of people that watch these shows are going to be influenced to vote for her. Now, on the other hand, he's just doing the same thing. It's just different. It's just made up. This strategy is just different. But to me, indirectly, they're paying for votes. And again, you guys may not see it that way, but that's the way I see it. Last but not least, I want you guys' thoughts. I want you guys' comments, whether it be after the video or not, of this video clip right here. I want to know what you guys think.
The TV ad that was banned because the truth made white people uncomfortable.